Hello and thanks for joining me. I'm Claire Turnbull and I'm really excited to be part of the Walking Stars team, and I'm getting excited about the event. My friends are as well. We're going to have a great team. I don't know what we're going to be dressed up as yet, but we'll have to find that out soon. This little video is actually to answer some of your nutrition questions that you guys have asked on Facebook, so that you make sure that you know what you're eating before training and on the night of event. So what I'm going to actually go through is some of those real questions that you've asked, and give you some answers. So I've actually got the questions written down because I'm good at remembering, but I'm not that good. So the first question that someone asked was, what should I be eating before training and before the event? So with training, it really depends on how long your training walks are and what time of the day you're actually doing them. So if you're actually getting up and you're doing a training walk early in the morning, maybe before breakfast, you don't actually have to eat anything at all before you go. So if you're only going for half an hour, up to an hour and a half, and you find it easier not to eat before you go, then you don't have to. I never eat before exercise in the morning because personally it just doesn't work for me. If you do have anything before you do your walking in the morning, then it needs to be at least 30 minutes before you start your walk, because you need to allow time for whatever you've eaten to be basically to start the digestion process. Because if you just shove a banana in your mouth and run out the door and start your walking, what ends up happening is basically that banana will just sit in your stomach, and it's not really doing much for you. So you need to actually allow time for something to be digested. So early morning walks, then I would be eating something like a banana, a small bowl of cereal, or maybe a smoothie, at least half an hour, maybe 40-45 minutes before you actually go on that walk. Or if it doesn't work for you like me, not having anything before, but then having something as soon as possible afterwards. So there's morning walks, you need to have your breakfast ASAP afterwards to actually help your body to recover and refuel. If you are doing afternoon walks, or you're doing maybe a long walk at the weekend, then what you need to do is have what's called a pre-event or a pre-training meal, and that's around 2 to 4 hours before you start a long walk, and that'll be very similar to what you need to do on the day of the event. So if you're maybe going at, I don't know, 11 or 12 o'clock on a weekend walk in the middle of the day, then I will be having my breakfast 2 to 4 hours before that. It might be eggs on toast, it might be some beans on toast, some porridge, a smoothie with maybe some toast as well, something like that. But it would be at least 2 to 4 hours before, to allow your body for the food to go from your mouth, in your stomach, to start the digestive process rather than the food sitting in your stomach. So 2 to 4 hours before is what you kind of need to remember for that pre-training meal. So when it comes to your event, we're going to start walking at 8 o'clock. So you really want to be having your dinner 2 to 3 hours before that. So I think last year I probably had my dinner at around about 5:30, 5:45. The balance of that meal needs to be some carbohydrate, protein and vegetables. So something like a chicken stir fry with rice, some chicken pasta with a tomato based sauce. You don't want something too rich and too fatty because that will stay in your stomach for too long. So fish and chips a couple of hours before the event, probably not ideal. You need something that's much more nutritionally balanced. And then before the race starts itself, you can have something, again, a little snack if you need it, just kind of 30-40 minutes before. I think last year when the girls came round to my house, we cracked open a bag of popcorn. Normally I don't eat salty and sweet popcorn. This time I did, but that was just something, a little bit of carbohydrate, a little bit sweet, but you don't necessarily need that snack before. It just depends on how you're going. So that was the first question, what to do before training an event. So I hope that answered your question, and we'll go on to the next one, which is what snacks are best to take during the walk. I think the thing is, you don't want to eat so much, you don't want to eat too much, because you can just end up feeling quite ill, really. And I know it's a great excuse to like dig into a bag of lollies, but really, with that kind of pace when you're walking, you're not going to be burning fuel quickly enough that you need to start chowing down on sports drinks and eating full bags of lollies. So small snacks is completely adequate. So what did I take on the walk last year, and what I'll be doing again this year? I took a little container of grapes, or you could take some berries or a banana if it's not going to get squashed, or maybe a mandarin, so a piece of fresh fruit. That gives you, that little sugar rush that you maybe need, something easy to eat. The other thing I took was a little bag of nuts and dried fruit, and I've got some figs there as well. So dried fruit's quite helpful because it's sweet, but it's also got a bit of fibre, so it's got some goodness rather than just lollies. So those were some quite good things. I think the other thing that I had in my bag was a piece of fruit toast. Again, a little bit of carbohydrate to kind of keep me going. I think I ended up eating my fruit toast right at the end, actually, for a little bit of replenishment. That's what I took with me. So those are a couple of ideas to have during the event. You could also take a bit of popcorn. I mean, if you want to have a few lollies while you're going on the walk, hey, it's the one day. But I wouldn't get into the routine with your training of just chowing down on lollies all the time. It's not necessary. It's tasty, but it's not necessary to be doing that. Also, sports drinks. I wouldn't be using them in training and for the event. I certainly didn't last time. In a bottle of sports drink, you've got anywhere between 14, 15, 16 teaspoons of sugar, equivalent number of calories to a chocolate bar. It's just not necessary at the pace that we're going to be going with the walking. So sticking to water is best. Water is your friend. You can put some lemon, some mint or whatever in it. And I guess while you're preparing for the event as well, keeping well hydrated is really important, especially before the event. So this is a soda stream. You can do some sparkling water to make it a little bit more interesting, but just make sure that you are keeping well hydrated the whole way through and taking plenty of water with you. I think I took a couple of water bottles, and I know there is plenty of water along the way for you to pick up, so that is really cool. So let's have a look at my next little question. What's the next one? What to have at the end of the event? I think there was, from memory, lots of cups of teas and biscuits when I got to the end of it last time. Cup of tea and a biscuit. It really depends on how much you've eaten during the event, whether you really need to eat much afterwards. So if you've been snacking the whole way through, I don't think you necessarily need to have a big feed afterwards before you go to bed, because you've probably been topping up your fuel stores the whole way through. If you've not really eaten much during, then a couple of ideas I wrote down I think this is what I had last year actually. I had some cottage cheese on some corn thins when I got home, maybe a small bowl of cereal and some milk, or avocado on toast and a yogurt. So a light snack if you need when you get home, but it is quite late. But I appreciate after a big long walk and a big late night, it's a one-off occasion when you might want to eat quite late. So I mean, a mini meal. It's not time to go and get burger and fries or chow down on a bag of lollies. So something that's got a little bit of carbohydrate and protein is going to help you replenish your stores, and making sure again topping up on the water would be a good thing to do. If you wanted to, you could make a smoothie. I mean, I use smoothies either for breakfast. This one is some handful of baby spinach, half a frozen banana and some milk. That is a good thing you can have when you get home. Great thing to have before an early morning walk, or straight away when you get afterwards, or for recovery, so you can have one of those. Just another kind of idea for breakfast or after training. So this is yogurt with berries, or you could use raspberries with a couple of tablespoons of oats and some seeds on top. Super delicious. That's a quick and healthy snack for anyone anyway. So that's a couple of snack ideas. Next question is, how do I prevent sore muscles and cramping? So the main things you just got to remember is making sure that you stretch adequately after all of your training walks. You just need to make sure that you spend enough time. If you're literally just standing there and going, for 2 seconds, it's not really going to do much. So you do need to take the time to hold the stretches and progress the stretches to make sure you're getting the results from them. Keeping well hydrated is important to make sure that you don't get sore muscles and cramping. And you may find that magnesium is helpful. So if you've done the hydration and you've done plenty of stretching, you can either go and talk to one of my team at Mission Nutrition who can help you get through the event, or maybe go and talk to the pharmacist about taking some magnesium and seeing what might be right for you. That's a good idea. The last question is about caffeine and coffee. Specifically, will having caffeine get me over the line quicker? Well, caffeine has certainly a stimulating effect, and if you don't normally drink tea or coffee and then you have a caffeinated drink, it can actually boost you up a little bit and make you feel a little bit more alert and awake, and kind of get you go a little bit faster. But if you don't want to be having heaps of coffee and getting used to having it during training too much, because too much coffee in your system can actually affect the quality of your sleep, and if you don't sleep well, you don't recover well. So there's a play-off between caffeine and sleep. So really what I would say is, I don't normally recommend that people have caffeinated drinks later on in the day, because caffeine takes a long time to clear from your body. But on the day of the event, it might be time to have a coffee later in the afternoon, because basically you're going to be staying up pretty late. So if that works for you, then give it a go. But I certainly wouldn't start having 6 black coffees before the event, because what you will find is that affects your gut. And things might move through you quite quickly, which is not ideal on a big walking event like that. And you might be crazy, super crazy. To be honest, the hype of everyone being at Walking Stars and us all doing it together is enough excitement without needing too much extra coffee. So I hope that answers all of your questions, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the event. It's going to be absolutely awesome. We're raising money for such a good cause, and we're doing a fantastic thing all together. So have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you there. See ya.